Hi, welcome back to my channel. Yes, I'm reading a lot of historical fiction of late, pretty much always World War II. And a previous book I read was Enemy Occupied Paris, and this book was also Enemy Occupied Paris. But this book takes place in 1944, and we have Marianne, who, despite the rations, despite the war, despite the starvation, despite everything, she plans on opening up a restaurant. And I think they were getting like coupons, so there was a lot of limitations. But she went to the powers that be at that time, and she got permission to create a restaurant, and her chief diners would be the enemy, the Germans. Well, why would Marianne open a restaurant in with the knowing, because of the war, that most of her customer base would be Germans? Well, you have to go to present, okay? Past, of course, was 1944. Present would be Marianne's granddaughter, Sabine. And she gets something that is heavy in her hand, and it's a brass key. And it leads her to this restaurant decades later. Why? Okay, how can I put this? Sabine learns that her mother was adopted, and she has this key, and she has a little bit of information about who her grandmother possibly was. But that brings us back to 1944 Paris. So, what does Sabine find out about Marianne, and why did Marianne open that restaurant in the first place? And why is it called the last restaurant in Paris? Now, I'm not going to say much more, and I know this video's already short because I don't want to give any spoilers, and I am going to flip down to kind of see I'm just thinking. Sorry for thinking, and I might even edit that little pause out. When you have someone that seems to be collaborating with the enemy, then you can start to feel a certain way. That's the first thing. Why is Marianne doing what she's doing, and what was her motive? Okay? Now, it's an emotionally charged book because Sabine is kind of like, has a puzzle that she's putting the pieces together, and these pieces are her past. And as the story goes from past to present, things start to come together. The puzzle starts to take shape. And that's what makes it such an emotional read. Now, there are family secrets because the message is not easy, especially when we find out why Marianne created the restaurant in the first place. So that's about all I'm going to give you. And by the way, when I say present, I don't mean 2000 and something. I mean 1980s. But that's when the second half of the story takes place, because Sabine wanted to know who her grandmother was and why her mother was adopted. And that part of the story, by the way, was very sad. But it all had meaning. And when you read this book, you're going to find out what that meaning was. And by the way, did I say it? The author Lily Graham? I just want to tell you a little bit about some of the books I've read by her so far. The Child of Auschwitz, The Paris Secret, The Island Villa. Those are three that I know I read. I see a couple other ones here that I don't think I have read. But her writing is always very, very compelling. Very compelling. And she's a very, very good author, very inspiring author. There's some things in this book that don't quite measure up, but compelling. That's all I'm going to say, because I'm just droning on, and I don't want to drone on in my book reviews. But I want you to check this book out, and Yes, we're going to see. It's on Kindle Unlimited. So check it out. It's a good one if you like heartbreaking, hard-hitting historical fiction. Then I would say check out this book by Lily Graham. Alrighty, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.